What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a move that I think all wide receivers need to practice. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it could teach you a few new things, but also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you want to get faster this offseason, more explosive, and you want specific gym workouts that you can do, check out that very first link in the description below for our 4-month wide receiver gym workout schedule. It's a daily schedule for 16 weeks with the exact sets and reps and obviously exercises wide receivers should be doing in the gym. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested and you would like to get access to that, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So the move that we are going to be talking about today is something called a rocker step. So we're going to be talking about the mechanics of a rocker step, how you can build off of a rocker step, and then obviously the routes and situations to use it. So this first example here from Hunter Renfrow is going to be a pretty textbook example of a rocker step. So a rocker step is something where you want to think of it like this. It's like a double move at the top of the break, not a double move like a post corner or like a sluggo, for example. It's just like a simple like crossover that you would do off the line, except it's at the top of the route. You want to think of it like you were stepping in the direction you are going first. So if you're running an out route or if you're running a corner route, what foot would you step with first? You'd step with your outside foot first, one, and then sell back to the inside, two. Now, when you guys do this, it is very, very important that you don't take a soft first step. You actually have to sell like we were running an inside breaking route. So if you're running this on like an out route, you want to sell like you're running a dig, a post. And that's what requires you to have a good explosive first step. So on this rocker step, though, a lot of guys try to overdo this first step. They will step crazy wide outside their frame. Their heel will strike the ground because they're trying to sell it. You got to remember the step that sells on this move is the second step. So yes, this first cut wants to be a hard cut. You want to try to shoot that into the grass as explosively and as aggressively as possible. However, you got to make sure that it stays inside of your shoulder frame, because now when you strike the ground on that first cut, you need to push off of it and sell the inside cut, which would be obviously the fake to the post or the fake to the dig. So you see when Renfrow steps here, he's striking on the middle arch of his foot, ball of his foot, because that's where you get the most power, and you push off of it to sell to the outside. Now, when he sells to the outside, notice how his hips and his shoulders are also selling this movement, because that is what a DB is supposed to be watching. In a second, we're going to talk about when you should use this type of move against like different coverages on different routes, etc. But like you got to think of it like this. A DB is not going to be looking at your feet. He's going to be reading your body language. So you have to sell this route with your body just as much as you step with your feet. I would rather have you take 2 short, choppy steps, but actually sell up here than these 2 big steps, but not move your upper body at all. So you want to think of it like your upper body is like loose. From the waist up, it is separate from your hips. I tell my wide receivers to try to turn their belly button to the side of the cut on a rocker step. So you go here, you want to turn your belly button to the sideline, then belly button to the middle of the field. Because again, when a DB's watching my hips and body language, that is what will sell the movement. Now, after we do this, when you guys push from rep to rep, it is so important, or from cut to cut, that you stay on the ball of your foot. Ball, middle arch of your foot. That is the magic position, because that is a position where if you're striking the ground suddenly on the middle arch, you're going to be able to slow down and decelerate on a single step, but you will also be able to get some explosion and drive off of that cut to widen from the DB. Because again, at the end of the day, you have to sell vertical on your routes, you have to create explosion on your breaks, and you have to use that explosion to accelerate you out of the break. And that's where that foot strike comes into play. So that is a textbook example there from Renfrow. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job using that rocker step and then being able to widen the gap with acceleration. Now, how do you build off of that, right? Because if your game plan is like, let's say we're running like a post route like this wide receiver is about to run, and let's say your game plan every single time is I'm going to do a rocker step, which you probably could do. That can get very, very predictable, right? You have to have other tools in your tool belt to be able to keep the DB on his toes or keep a defensive coordinator on his toes. Because let's think of it from a defensive coordinator perspective. I'm going to play this full speed real quick, and then we'll break this stuff down. But this wide receiver decides to use a triple rocker step move. So at the top of the break, instead of just doing 1-2, he does a 1-2-3. So you see how he goes here? His first step, you want it on a triple rocker step, you step opposite of the side that you are breaking first. So he's breaking to the inside. So what foot does he step with? He steps with his outside foot first. So he goes 1, 2, then 3. And this is a great way to keep this DB on his toes and keep him honest. Because let's say, for example, on every single corner route that you run, you do a rocker step. So like against zone coverage, you got a safety who's off. You hit him with a 1-2 cut to the inside, then break on the corner. Now, a smart defensive coordinator would tell his safety, hey, anytime that you see him run up and do that double cut, expect that he's running a corner and try to break it, try to anticipate it, because that's all he has. But if instead on a post route, you make it look the exact same, you go left, right, then left, it's 1, 2, 3, and you break on the post, that can get you a lot of space. Because what does that look like? That looks exactly like a corner. So you got to be able to run the post off of a single step. You got to be able to run the corner off a single step. You got to be able to do each one of them off a rocker. And then you could add a triple rocker to this as well. And one of the best guys to study on tape for this in a real game situation is going to be Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp will run his 10-yard out 3 separate ways. He will run it off just a single speed cut. He'll hit a 1-2, and he will hit a 1-2-3 and break on this out route. And it keeps the defense guessing. They can never anticipate it. And if they know that he has those 3 moves in his tool belt and he could run an inside breaking route off of it, they're not going to be able to guess. They're going to have to rely on their technique. And when we get a DB to rely on their technique, he is beatable. He is 100% beatable if I take care of what I need to take care of. Now, on this triple move here, you see how this wide receiver, his body sells it just as much as you would on a regular rocker step. So you see how he goes 1, goes 2, goes 3. And his hips and shoulders are working separate from the cut on all 3 of these moves. That is what gets you separation from a DB, especially when he's in man-to-man. So let's play this again full speed one more time, and then we're going to talk about how you guys can use this in a live game setting versus different coverages. Okay, so now, this example here from Davante Adams, he's going to be using a rocker step on a dig route, like a 10 to 12 yard dig. Now, some of you might be a little confused as to when you should use this move. So there's 4 specific routes, well, really 5 that I like this on. And number 1, I like it, obviously, like we were talking, on a post. I like it on a corner. I like it on a 10-yard out, and I also like it on a dig. I don't like it on anything under 8 yards because I feel like when it's under 8 yards, what type of routes are those? Those are usually quick routes, right? The quarterback's getting it out of his hands. He's not going through progressions unless you're like a backside read. I just don't think it's necessary. I think I would only use it on those 4, and then maybe a fade ball. So like how you would use it on a fade ball is if like a DB was off in zone and you wanted to come run at him and you give him that rocker step inside, then slip back out on a fade. That would be the only time I think that it would work. But in terms of those other 4 routes that we mentioned before. So those 5 routes is when I would use that rocker. Now, what type of coverage would you use it against? And honestly, the great part about this move, which is why I feel every wide receiver should know this move, is you can use it, honestly, against every single coverage. So if you got a guy who's in press coverage, and let's say you got to run a dig like Adams, that's when you could use it. You attack him, you take the outside release, you hit him with this 1-2 at the break, get separation. And you could do it the opposite way too. You come up here, let's say again, you got inside shade press, you know you're taking an outside release. You get to this point where we stack this DB, because I only like it when you have him stacked, and stacked means he's trailing your back hip. You, again, and in man, it's very important that you think about, I'm stepping in the direction that I'm going first. Because usually when you run routes against press man, it's not off of steps, right? Like I'm sure all of you have heard that. Like let's say you got a DB who's in zone, 10 yards off, you got to run a quick bang 8 post. You've probably heard that before, like, hey, you want to break on your 3rd outside step. But when it's man, you're not worried about that because you got a guy who's in front of you. You got press coverage. So the steps kind of go out the window. You have to break at a landmark. That 3rd outside will take you to about 8 to 10 yards. So that's where you want to break, 8 to 10 yards. So if you get him stacked, you want to step in the direction that you're going first. So he steps with the right foot, cuts left to sell, and then breaks on the dig. Same thing you could do on an out route. You step with the left foot, break off the right, run the out route when you have him stacked. So that's when I like that rocker step against press man, when you have him stacked. Now, number 2, like I said, you could use it against zone. Let's say this DB's off, facing the quarterback inside. You got to run a post. You could run at his blind spot, give him a move to the blind spot, widen him, break on the post. And then vice versa. He's here. You could run at his inside shoulder, give him a move, run the rocker step to the out or the corner. So this move can be used against any specific coverage if you just know the right type of situation, I guess you could say, and how to attack the leverage. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. Great example here from Adams using this rocker step. A very quick inside move on it, but still would consider that, and that's a way to get separation on that dig. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like a 16-week wide receiver gym workout plan, everything wide receivers should be doing in the gym, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.